Hi guys, my name is Oksana and today we will be talking about the new release from Charlotte Tilbury. This is her luxury quad in the shade Queen of Luck. This is marked as limited edition and we will compare it eye to eye with the same palette, like limited edition palette, but this is Celestial Pearl. So they have quite a few similar shades. In terms of their quad, they have 2 out of 4, so I think it's like 50% that we need to compare. Definitely, of course you will also see the comparison swatches, so I hope that you will take out something from this video for yourself just to decide whether you need this one or not. And let's kick off with the review. As to the packaging, by the way, this is kind of the disappointed point for me because this is like an original packaging from Pat McGrath that we know she has for her quads, but as this is limited edition, I wanted to see something different in the design as we have in Celestial Pearl and also as we have in, for example, Fire Rose and any other Christmassy releases. My first move was to use the satin shade, which is Prime Preparer, just to prepare my eyelid all over the lid, but then I thought that I want to see how duochrome applies on all over the lid, and this is why I just concentrated in my inner corner, and then I also used it on the lid, but again closer to the inner corner. You now just see how I apply it. Completely stunning, nothing too bad about this shade, and I like that this shade is always included in Charlotte Tilbury's palette. It's just the perfect shade to use beneath your brow bone and also in the inner corner, and of course if you want also to prepare the eyelid as Charlotte Tilbury does. Then the second shade that I applied, it was duochrome, this baked shade, which is Enhance Rehearser, something like that. So this is a duochrome type of shade, and this one, it has the duochrome shift not in the color base but in the actual dimensional particles, so you don't really see the base of the shadow, you just see these very finely milled sparkles particles. What I like about this shade is that it's very forgiving to the texture, so it will be perfect to use on the mature eyelid if you want to use something shifty but you are afraid of these kind of shades because often they are very bright. Then this will be the solution for you. In terms of the effect, then it's very dimensional, but again it's finely milled, so it's very suitable also for the office look. In the studio light you don't really see that many particles as you are just walking out of the room and you are standing in the daylight or even in the bathroom, then you see the actual raising of the shade and why the shade is being included in this palette. Then we used matte shade, which is Smoke Ombre, and this shade is a classic matte formula from Charlotte Tilbury. It's pigmented enough to apply from with the first coat on your lid, but it's still very easy to blend. I didn't have any issues at all. It's warm, but it's not too orangey, and I think that it perfectly suits the actual shades, the actual shimmers that we have in a palette. Of course, you can't really expect the depth from this shade and from this palette overall. You can't use it to maybe darken your outer corner, or you can't really use it to just have the wing created on your eyelid. Again, it's a very soft makeup look that you will have with this palette. It's nothing too bad, it's just the quality for this palette to have. And the sparkle is, I believe, one of the star of this palette because it's very creamy. In some of her palettes, the sparkles, they are really dry and it's very difficult to apply them in the way you want them to shine. This pen is perfectly fine, it's creamy enough, very easy to apply. I think that you see it right now when I apply it on the lid. Just to summarize, if to stay out of my emotional pool, I think that this is quite a good one, like a good quote to pick up because it has different textures from Charlotte Tilbury, satin, duochrome, kind of baked shade, then sparkle and also a matte formula. It makes this palette independent. You don't need to reach for any other palette to complete the look. You can have more day-to-day look, you can have evening look, just adding some sparkle. And what I like about this palette as well is also the firm formula. So every shade perfectly performs on the eyes. Sparkle is very creamy. For example, in her Pillow Talk quad, I had a very dry sparkle. The same goes to Bella Sophia. I think that currently it may be Dolce Vita or vice versa. I'm not sure, but this one with the burgundy kind of vibe and gold sparkle. So that one was also very dry. I couldn't really apply it on the eyelid, but this one is very creamy and I didn't have any issues. And the matte is also perfectly fine, so it blends. It also has a good pigmentation. The only thing is just this palette doesn't have the depth, but I don't think that you expect the depth from this palette when you first see it on the website. So this is just something to acknowledge from the very beginning, and if you are expecting depth, then of course just do not pick up this palette. If we are talking about my personal feelings, I think that I need to use it more just to see how often I will gravitate towards this palette, because even though Celestial Pearl is also perfect in terms of the quality, I don't have any issues with it, I rarely use it. So I think that it can be the case with this one as well, because it's kind of repetitive color story that we already saw from Charlotte Tilbury. It doesn't really have this wow factor when this palette just makes your jaw drop, and I think that this is something that I expected from Charlotte. But overall, I believe that this is quite a good basic palette if you are looking for the office kind of look and on a more subtle way. Even with the duochrome, what I like about Charlotte Tilbury is that she knows her actual audience, and she knows that also on the mature lids these shades should look perfectly fine. And with this kind of texture in terms of the duochrome, I think she achieved it, because it's very, very finely milled. Overall, a good basic palette, but it doesn't exceed the expectation in terms of the color story. This is what I might say. This is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about this palette, and of course I will see you in my next videos. Bye guys, have a good one.